Hello. And my screen is it is all right. Everything is looking funky ever since Windows decided that it was going to be mandatory. I'm trying to figure out is this working? Nope. Hmm, maybe. Yeah, my screen has been all screwed up ever since Windows forced me to update this. So I don't know. Everything on here appears to be, um, I don't know. Like when you reboot the computer, and then all of a sudden it goes back to like default or safe mode, if you remember that. But anyways, so welcome to the collapse experiment, where I discuss our current state of the collapse, and we should be drinking. Oh, haven't been able to keep up with the podcast this week. So there's a lot of news we could be talking about. There's a lot of conspiracies that we could be discussing. That is clearly up to you, the viewer, all zero of you, if this is accurate. Anyways, if there is anybody out there, put your questions, comments, death threats over in the comments section. I will be keeping track of that. Maybe we can get some answers on the poll. Did Mr. Jones commit a crime? And of course, there's the yes and no options, and then there's free speech is free speech. Power to the people or something. And the thought police are a good thing if you're into that. I personally, I'm not. Thought police. That's that's some commie BS that just can stay away from me. So, why haven't I been doing the podcast for the last week? Well, it's because I have a second job again. I'd be glad if I could ever get out of that scenario, that situation. But anyways, I have a second job, so I'm still trying to keep up with the website. I'm still trying to keep up with the podcast as well. As for this channel, I just kind of post things when I get to it, when I'm able to. And unfortunately, it is not often, not as often as I would like. So, anyways, did get an order of some books in recently, and totally not conspiracy theory related, but ancient brews. Wanted to get this one so I could actually try out some of the recipes that are in here. Because when I do actually have free time, my downtime, this thing that people keep talking about, I'm like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I do like to make wine, and beer's a little too complicated for me, so the heck with that. But anyways, moving on. My recent commentary on the Great Reset by Klaus Schwab has actually been selling. It's been selling. As for like print versions, it's been doing fairly well compared to like anything else I've ever published. But it was called The Great Reset of Lies, and it's where I go through Mr. Schwab's book, and he'll make certain comments, say certain things, and then I'm like, yeah, that's not true. And then I'll highlight it and I'll go into like why this is just completely false. Anyways, apparently Canada's like really into this. Considering everything that's going on in Canada, I'm not surprised that they'd be interested in knowing what the hell's going on with the Great Reset. Um, right now Trudeau is trying to shut down the farming industry. He's trying to make sure that those people are in the unemployment line, considering that he's already trying to push the we're no longer going to use artificial fertilizers. And it's like, you're killing people. You know this, right? I, I'm assuming this is your goal. You're just trying to flat out kill your people. When Here's the thing, when it comes to a governing body, their first priority should be to take care of their people. And for some reason, the Netherlands, Germany, Canada, Sri Lanka learned this the hard way. if the if taking care of your people is not your number one priority, bad things will happen to you. I don't know where these people are learning how to govern, but they're not. They're clearly not learning how to govern. That's the main issue. So, anyways, a sequel to the Great Reset of Lies is The Great Narrative for a Better Future. Klaus Schwab and Terry Mellerat. Um, this is technically, I believe they call it the Great Reset 2.0 at some point, or at least that's how it comes up in Amazon as like an alternate title. But anyways, this is supposed to be, according to some of the other reviews that I have watched and listened to on YouTube about the book, because I just got this today. I haven't read it yet. But I wanted to have some idea as to where to pursue like a critical commentary on this. And already I have several ideas, considering that even though it's called The Great Narrative, they don't really discuss the narrative or how a narrative is formed. They just go into like how having a cultural narrative, not just one for different cultures, but one for the world, is going to help push the Great Reset into fruition. And I don't think they realize that the reason there's so many myths and legends and social narratives when it comes to different cultures and countries is because they're different cultures and countries. It's like the only place that I can think of where you could actually have a narrative be not just absorbed but pushed into other cultures would be the Catholic Church, which was really good at, oh, these Germanic tribes. Well, how can we integrate them into uh, Christianity or Catholicism? Like, how can we? Well, they have this weird ritual with this tree. Well, what if we just bring that in for Christmas? There's several traditions when it comes to the Catholic religion that have been brought in by different cultures that were absorbed in. And for some reason, Klaus Schwab seems to think that he can just pull a story out of his butt and kind of plop it there on the table, and everybody's going to be like, ooh, this is something that we can follow as we starve to death and eat the Z bugs while trying to not commit suicide in the pods. Drink. So, anyways, this other book, this was on my wish list for a while. I picked it up. I feel really, really bad for this guy. And this is Jacob and Angeli. He is also known as the Buffalo Shaman, if you're familiar with January 6th. So, anyways, Jacob wrote this book, One Mind at a Time, A Deep State of Illusion, where he goes into the deep state. And I haven't read this yet either because I just got it today. And anyways, I was very fascinated to know that he had a book. It's on Amazon. Somehow Amazon didn't like scrub it from their files after he was convicted. I think he's got like 3 or 4 years in solitary confinement for sitting in a chair. I do believe his biggest crime was sitting in a chair that day. Yes, he entered the building not by force. He did his like howling sound. Had several pictures taken of him, which actually look kind of cool when you go look back on it. But anyways, so he wrote this book, and I heard an interview on YouTube with him, and became very curious to learn more about him, just because he seemed to be very well spoken. He tended to know a lot of things that I was surprised that somebody that the media tried to make him look like a complete buffoon and idiot. Uh, Anyways, I was curious and wanted to know more. And during the interview, he talked about how he had this book on Amazon. And I'm like, really? Well, I got to add that to the library before it disappears. So, yeah, um, I'm still debating which book I'm going to crack open first between The Great Narrative and this one. But I am very curious to hear what he has to say. I do want to write like some type of review or series on it for theclapsexperiment.com. But at the same time, I also want to do The Great Narrative because that might have more to do with what's currently going on than what Jacob has to say. But I the curiosity aspect of it, plus his book is a lot thinner than Klaus Schwab's BS. Yeah, because this is 125 pages. It's almost, it's not close to the same length as like the Unabomber Manifesto. I mean, so anyways, he's got this book out, and The Great Narrative, I believe, is 200. If you take out the notes, because there's a ton of notes at the end. Oh yeah, it's about 200 pages. So The Great Narrative is about 200 pages, and yeah, I'm going to be doing a deep dive into that one. I want to do a series on the website with it, doing articles on different chapters and whatnot. I do want to do a second book, like I did with the first one, and with the podcast, I want to have a couple shows where I go through and anything that I highlighted or found, I talk about on the podcast. And actually, I'm thinking that might help me work through um, how to actually form the articles and write the next book. So, anyways, The Great Narrative for a better future with bugs. Like they're probably going to try to replace wine with like some type of like beetle blood juice or uh, I don't know. In reality, it'll probably be like aborted baby blood or something, because that's how they're planning on living forever, right? The lizard people. It keeps coming up. I don't know why. Somebody at work just brought up the whole lizard person thing, and my first thought was Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg? Zuckum? Yeah, Zuckerberg. When he went before Congress and absolutely lied to them about Facebook's policies, and he was like, when it came to drinking from his glass. So here's proof I'm not a lizard person. Look. Just drinking it like a normal human. So anyways, that's some things I have on the back burner for right now. And yeah, so anyways, hello viewer. And if you'd like to participate in the poll, that would be cool. Otherwise, questions, comments, topics you would like discussed, place them into the comment section. Or this thing will just drop back down to 0, because YouTube's really, really good at that. Oh, yeah. Anyways, other things in the news. Nancy Pelosi almost destroyed the world, as an alcoholic lizard person would do. But yeah, so she went to Taiwan. China is throwing a complete hissy fit, shooting rockets over Taiwan into Japanese territory. The Japanese are pissed off. Taiwan is pissed off, while they're also like encircled by the Chinese military. It's not looking good for Taiwan. There's some speculation that Nancy actually went to Taiwan to kind of tell them like, hey, when this happens, we're sorry, but yeah, you can move your stuff over to our country, but we can't protect you. So, well, she's been profiting from insider trading on Taiwanese companies. At the same time, yeah, sorry, Ukraine got invaded first. You're SOL. And, that's going to be quite the bad situation when that actually goes down. So, not looking forward to that one. I'm gonna actually be kind of pissed that we are currently helping defend and protect a country that has literal Nazis, like old school Nazis, um, in their ranks, in their military. Meanwhile, Taiwan, which is in some people's eyes, still considered the legitimate government of China, because they went into exile when Mao Zedong took over and installed the communist regime, which has been in power ever since then. And yeah, of course, they want to get rid of the current government of Taiwan because that whole legitimacy thing probably really like irks them when it comes to that. Mr. Jones, yeah, he's looking at what, like overall his current bill with the court is what, just over $50 million. That's pretty interesting, and yeah, I've got a lot to say about that one because there was this video clip and one of my friends posted it because they're making a big deal about like, oh, look at his face when they call him out for perjury, and it's like, are you sure? Because yeah, the phone was handed over, and he's been explaining himself quite a bit on his show, which I don't know if that's like showing guilt or if it is him just legitimately trying to explain what happened. But yeah, his lawyers handed over the phone, and immediately they were like, "Oh, we have your phone. You lied," and he's just like, "Did I? Did I really? Uh, oh, here's your Perry Mason moment." And, um, there's some thoughts that they're going to go after him for perjury, which good luck with that one. And in all honesty, I think that the whole idea that the court is going to say like, "Hey, you have to pay these people $50 million," even though you are a news agency, even though you're protected by the First Amendment. Granted, I guess I guess somebody could argue that like, well, CNN had to pay so and so for the Covington kid incident, and it's like, true, that's true, and maybe Mr. Jones was just as guilty as CNN was with that. But I guess the big question is this going to be like an OJ thing? Like, OJ's never going to pay the money that he owes the families. That's just not going to happen. Um, and I wonder if this is what's going to happen with Mr. Jones. Is yeah, they can award them money, but I don't know how exactly they're going to get it. Um, and that's where I think I think there needs to be limits with the court, but at the same time, it also makes it look like the court actually has no authority. So that's one of my thoughts when it comes to that. The other thing is, when it comes to this event, the one at the hook of the gritty substance, um, there's a lot of blame that I think needs to be placed on the media, the politicians, the people surrounding the event afterwards. So the event itself, yes, people should have questions. People should be able to um, ask their questions, possibly, maybe even get some freaking answers as to what the hell was going on. Um, the biggest thing uh, that I think people get out of what happened with that afterwards is the fact that immediately politicians were trying to take the death of those kids and use it in order to punish law abiding citizens for something that is constitutionally protected under the Second Amendment. So, say what you will about, like, oh, he was profiting from the death of children. What were the politicians doing? Like, what exactly was going on there with that? And it got to the point where not only were they trying to do that by trying to push like some type of new gun bill or bringing back the weapons ban that Clinton had in place. So not only were they doing that, but at the same time, they were also setting a narrative, setting their great narrative in order to try to get a bill passed in order to punish law abiding gun owners. Um, when it came to the narrative of the story, it was the shooter was able to get his hands on these weapons. They would just kind of ignore the fact that he murdered his mom in order to get them. So there again is a crime already on the books. Murder's bad. I think we can all agree with that. Um, then when it came to the story, now there was the big thing about the black rifle that they were pushing. They're trying to say that he went into the school and he killed all these kids with the black rifle. And come to find out from the coroner's report, it was a 9mm pistol, which is a lot different from said black rifle, which actually he didn't own one. That was the other thing. The one that they showed in the pictures where the cop is holding it is actually a shotgun. Yes, they make Bushmaster style AR-15 style shotguns, and that was exactly what was pulled out of the trunk of the car. It was never in the school with the shooter. That didn't happen. So you have all these conflicting stories, and they were really pushing for banning that style of rifle, even though it was never used. Weird. It's almost like what Canada's doing right now with the banned sales of pistols. Huh. Which again, we're not used in Uvalde, Texas. I mean, if you're going to push for the banning of a certain style, oh wait, Canada already had those banned. That's the issue. That was the problem. So yeah, there's also the question of like who was the dude that was hanging out in the woods outside of the school, and he was like, "Oh, I heard about it on the radio, so I ran from the gas station through the woods to see what was going on at the school." And it's like, yeah, well, for one, it wasn't on the radio. Two, the amount of time between when you would have found out and when you got to the edge of the woods, you can't travel. Like it's almost like you knew what was going to happen. Weird. So yeah, there's a lot of questions when it comes to that event, and quite frankly, none of them ended up being answered. And you can say it was shoddy police work. There's also the question of like why the building was demolished so soon afterwards when it's a crime scene. It's an active crime scene. You know, that thing that you don't tamper with because otherwise the police will probably arrest you and mess you up. Oh no, no, no. We just need to like this away. Get rid of this. So yeah, the school was torn down. Not long after the event. It's not like it had any structural damage, and unless it was what was that building 10, 9/11, the one that had like a couple fires here and there, and all of a sudden, but oh yeah, so yeah, the school was taken down, and uh there's so much to that story, and yeah, I think the biggest thing that we should take away from this is the fact that you can now be taken to court, not have a jury trial. Anything you say can and will be used against you, regardless of the First Amendment, even if you are an actual news agency. It's almost like this new rule, this one that if you don't state the narrative, if you don't state the approved narrative on your news outlet, wow, it's almost like they're trying to control us of what people can learn about. What what's that all about? I can't think of any social media apps or programs online that do similar things. Weird. So yeah, world almost came to an end. Oh, Mexico looks like they're now having riots over water. You don't hear about the water shortage in Mexico, where people are standing in line for long periods of time trying to uh, get some water, trying to survive. Yeah, you don't hear about that. It's like we only really care about Mexico and Mexicans when they're coming across the border. So you have this thing that's happening down there, and it could seriously cause an upheaval to the point where it might spill over into our borders. And at the same time, you have these operations happening in Venezuela, where China and Russia right now have the uh, permission of the Venezuelan government to set up military bases. This doesn't make anybody else feel uneasy. So, I don't know, put a couple thousand troops in Venezuela and all hell breaks loose in Mexico. You go in as peacekeepers in order to help the situation in Mexico, take control of that situation, and then you're just right on the border with the US. That's not convenient at all or anything. And I'm sure the new Mexican government that the Chinese and Russian governments put in place down there would be like, hey, do you want to have a base? That'd be cool with us. We've got plenty of land. Panama's in upheaval. Sri Lanka, now you have to have a what is it? Some type of QR code in order to purchase food and gasoline. That's comforting. I have a feeling that the trucker slash farmer convoy is going to return to Canada due to a lot of their policies, which are just complete garbage. And yeah, there's so much stuff going on right now, and things are not looking good for Ukraine, which I don't even know how to feel about that anymore. Do I like the idea of somebody invading another country? Well, Well, let's see here. When you had everything happening in Cambodia, I guess it was a good thing that Vietnam invaded, right? Pol Pot, that whole thing. So I guess invasion can be a good thing if something bad is happening, but I guess if the population in that country doesn't believe it's a bad thing, let's like if the neighbor of Rwanda came in and was like, "Hey, you guys need to stop slaughtering each other in your sleep." You're like, "Screw you, we like doing this." I mean, maybe that's something that people are into. I don't know. Invasion tends to be a bad thing, and but hey, profiting from war, that's a purely American ingenuity idea right there. Ugh. So, anyways, let's see here. It's been what, half an hour, and I think I might have said my bit, and I don't know. I think we're going to get started on one of these things. That should have been my poll. It should have been like, which one of these books do I read first? Because this weekend I have the time. Sort of, I guess, maybe. Still have to go to work in the morning again on Saturday because that's cool. Whose brilliant freaking idea was that? Oh, yeah, some dude that doesn't even work at my job anymore. Anyways, I think that's about it for me. Check out the podcast, The Collapse Experiment. Check out the website, thecollapseexperiment.com. Hopefully, I'll have some new material and books in the works. I would like to figure out some way to actually continue recording podcasts like I was doing on a regular basis beforehand. But anyways, in the meantime, remember, you are the carbon that they are trying to reduce. Keep on typing.